The first drops hit, and within 30 seconds your yard is empty. The feeder swings on its own. The branches go still. The robin that spent all morning on the fence post, gone. The one singing in the hedge, silent. You look out the window and think, they flew off somewhere. They'll come back when it stops. They didn't fly off. They're not sheltering in some distant tree. And what they're doing right now, just meters from your kitchen, is one of the most precise survival operations in the animal kingdom. You've never seen it, but it's happening right now. Most people assume that when it rains hard, birds disappear to somewhere far away. A forest, a barn, somewhere beyond what we can see. Science found something very different. The birds in your yard don't go far when it rains. They go to specific places. Places they already chose. Places that are just a few feet from where you're standing right now. Each one knows exactly where to go, what position to hold, and how long to wait it out. What you're about to learn is the secret map of the rain. And after you hear it, you'll never look at your wet yard the same way again. The first thing you need to know is something biologists call the rain posture. And most people have never heard of it. When a bird tucks into its shelter and settles in for a long storm, it doesn't do what you'd imagine. It doesn't sit loosely, feathers relaxed, just waiting. It takes a precise position and holds it for hours. The body goes nearly vertical. The neck pulls in until the head nearly touches the chest. The feathers press flat against the body, tight, no gaps. The wings seal against the torso like a closed coat. And the feet, this is the most remarkable part, grip the perch so hard that the bird can actually fall asleep without falling off because the tendon locks automatically. Why all of this? One reason, water. A bird's feathers, when properly aligned, are nearly waterproof. Water beads off. But if the feathers shift, if even one opens where it shouldn't, water gets in. And if water reaches the skin, body temperature drops. And if body temperature drops, a bird weighing half an ounce can die before morning. Every feather out of place is a crack in the armor. So during a storm, birds don't move. Not from fear, from physics. Every movement opens a gap. Every gap lets in rain. And every drop of rain is 1 degree less in a body that weighs 14 grams. Now that you understand the posture, the next question is, where do they go? Let's go species by species, because each one chooses differently. The Northern Cardinal has an almost universal favorite, holly. If you have a holly bush in your yard, I can almost guarantee that's where it is. Here's why. Biologists found that cardinals and many other medium-sized birds seek out dense, broadleaf evergreen shrubs, especially ones with thorns, because they do 3 things at once. The thick leaves break up the rain before it hits the bird. The thorns keep cats and hawks at a distance. And the density of the foliage traps the bird's own body heat. It's the equivalent of a cabin with a roof, walls, and heating, all packed into 1 square meter of garden. That cardinal is in a dense privet hedge, a juniper, a low cypress, or a dwarf conifer. Always a shrub with dense year-round cover. Never a tree with large spread-out leaves, because that's exactly where the rain gets through. Smaller birds, chickadees, nuthatches, wrens, do something even more remarkable. They don't shelter in shrubs. They go inside holes, and here's something that's hard to believe until you hear the data. A chickadee can ride out a 12-hour storm inside a hole the size of a quarter. A small hollow in an old tree, a gap between roof tiles, a cavity behind loose bark. That tiny space keeps the bird alive while the storm rages outside. The reason is mathematical. A space that small heats itself entirely on the body heat of the bird inside. The temperature within the cavity can be 15 to 20 degrees warmer than the air outside. For a body weighing 14 grams, losing heat constantly, those 20 degrees are the difference between waking up alive and not waking up at all. So when you watch a chickadee slip into a small hole and vanish, it's not hiding out of fear. It just climbed into its own private radiator. If you've made it this far, subscribe to Bird Science. Because what comes next is the part that leaves people speechless. Small birds don't always shelter alone. In severe storms, they do something scientists have called a communal roost, or, to put it plainly, a bird slumber party. In nest boxes and large tree cavities, biologists have documented birds that spend the day competing for space, choosing to share it entirely. 9 eastern bluebirds crammed into a single nest box during a winter storm. Birds that fight over 1 perch at the feeder, pressed side by side through the night when it rains and the cold comes in. But the record belongs to a small species from western North America, the pygmy nuthatch. In one cavity, On one cold, stormy night, researchers counted more than 100 pygmy nuthatches packed together. 100 birds in a tree hole, all for heat. When 100 birds, each weighing half an ounce, crowd into a small space, the air between them rises to nearly 20 degrees Celsius above the outside temperature. It's a living furnace, biological central heating powered entirely by small bodies. And at dawn, when the rain stops, they file out one by one, reclaim their personal space, and go straight back to squabbling over seeds, as if the whole thing never happened. But it happened. It's going to happen again the next time it pours. Not every bird hides when it rains, and this part might surprise you most. Robins keep hunting, right through the storm. The reason is simple and a little elegant. When it rains, earthworms are forced to the surface because water floods their tunnels and they can't breathe down there. For a robin, a rainstorm isn't a threat. It's a buffet. They drop down into the grass, work the wet lawn, and feed at twice their normal rate. So the next time your whole yard looks abandoned in the rain and you spot one robin on the lawn, calm, methodical, unbothered, it's not that it's braver than the others. It's just doing math. Hummingbirds keep flying too. Given how small they are, this seems almost impossible. But their feathers have a microscopic structure that repels water better than almost any other bird, and they beat their wings so fast that drops simply can't settle on them. They fly between the rain, and because their metabolism runs so fast, they can't afford to sit still for hours. They'd starve. If you live somewhere with hummingbirds, look out during a light rain. If you have flowers or a sugar water feeder, you may catch one working in the downpour. It's one of the most quietly astonishing things a backyard can offer. But there's one more layer to this, one that almost nobody talks about, and it changes everything you've heard so far. Birds return to the same shelter, storm after storm, year after year. Researchers at Cornell University tagged black-capped chickadees with tiny transmitters and tracked where they went during storms. The results were striking. The same bird used the same hole in the same tree in every storm they observed. It didn't try new spots. It didn't explore alternatives. It went straight to the one it knew and stayed. 2 years later, that same chickadee was still using the exact same cavity. What that means is this: the shrub in your yard, the hedge by your fence, the crack in your roof, the hollow in the old tree at the back, those aren't random refuges. They are fixed addresses. They are the storm homes of specific birds who know your yard better than you do. That chickadee at your feeder this morning? It probably spent last night's storm 3 feet from your window, inside a gap you didn't know existed. It will go back to the same spot next time it rains. And the time after that. Your yard is a map of shelters. Every dense shrub, every cavity, every sheltered corner, cataloged, memorized, and claimed by a specific bird. You live on top of that map without knowing it. Before we go further, what bird shows up most in your yard? The sparrow, the robin, the cardinal, the mockingbird, or something you've never quite identified? Leave it in the comments. Because after this video, the bird you think you know turns out to know you a great deal better. Here's what you can actually do, and what you shouldn't. What helps? If you have space, leave at least one dense evergreen shrub unpruned. A holly, a juniper, a low conifer. To you, it's a shrub. To your birds, it's a life insurance policy every time a storm rolls through. Leave an old nest box up through winter. Don't take it down after breeding season ends. Many birds use those boxes as communal roosts on cold, wet nights. A box that looks empty in February may be sheltering 5 or 6 birds pressed together every night it rains. What to avoid? Don't cut back dense hedges right before a storm. Don't hard prune shrubs in fall and strip them down to bare branches. You're taking away the roof. Don't seal old tree cavities unless they're genuinely dangerous. Every one of them could be someone's shelter. And don't assume a tidy, manicured yard is a better yard for birds. Sometimes the most useful thing you can offer is exactly what your most organized neighbor would call neglected. That messy corner, that overgrown patch, that's a survival zone. So the next time you watch the first drops fall and see the yard empty in 30 seconds, remember this: they didn't leave. They're feet away from you, each one tucked into its rain posture, feathers locked, inside the exact shelter it chose months or years ago. Some are alone in a hole the size of a coin. Some are packed into a secret slumber party. A few, the opportunists, are out in your lawn right now, loading up on earthworms or beating their wings through the drops on the way to your flowers. Your yard doesn't go empty when it rains. Your yard goes invisible. The life is still there, in the hollows, in the hedges, in the gaps, in every corner that has spent generations learning how to survive. And when the rain stops and they come back out, one by one, with that posture they know from memory, you'll understand for the first time what you just learned. They didn't come back. They were there the whole time. You just didn't know where to look. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if this one got you, you'll want to watch our video on why one specific bird in your yard always returns to the exact same spot. It's right next to this one.